Hey guys, it's Jackie M from Masters of Malaysian Cuisine. Welcome back to our Munching March series. I know it sounds a little bit weird. Munching March is when we do basically egg and seafood related recipes because it's coming up to Easter and a lot of people are in that frame of mind. So today we have Liam, ever popular Liam. And let me just get, if you don't mind, just give me a couple of seconds while I set these live streams. Okay, let's go live. Okay, cool. Yeah, guys, thanks again so much for tuning in. Make sure you say hello and let us know where you were watching from. And Liam, what are you making today?
Today, an Easter classic, a Cape Easter classic, pickled fish. Pickled fish, very popular this time of year. In fact, it's probably the most popular dish you're going to find around. It's available all year round, but for some reason, Easter pickled fish, the two things go hand in hand in South Africa.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about it, but before that, I'm just going to play a quick clip from Tourism Malaysia. But again, guys, make sure you say hello. Let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to actually share this, like this, and pop any questions you have that for Liam to answer. Okay, so just we're going to play, like I said, a quick clip from Tourism Malaysia. We'll be back here in 30 seconds. Hey, now, we're ready to go. Come on. Gotta make a move to get there right now. Somewhere nice so we can get away. Better than the ordinary day. You're my paradise. Malaysia, truly Asia. Yeah, we're back. Okay, Liam. So for those of you, because I mean, Liam used to go live every week with Paul, so some people know Liam very well, but you haven't been on for like, what, a month plus?
No, it doesn't feel like it. I had my chicken bak kwa for our Kongsi session. Yeah. But no, otherwise I've been behind the scenes and doing lots of things, fiddling with magazines and stuff. So I'm still around. If
you've seen our recent magazines, Liam's the creative brain behind the whole thing. He actually wrote a really compelling article about Ghani Abbas, my tour guide friend, who is an award-winning tour guide in Malaysia, and that's actually got a lot of attention, Liam. I haven't told you about it yet.
Fantastic! I'm so pleased.
Yeah,
so
even
I really enjoyed writing that. It was good fun.
No, it was a good story. So selamat pagi dari Lisbon, Portugal. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Liam is based in South Africa, but he's originally from Penang, though we won't hold that against him. All right, Liam. Tell us about this. I actually translated it in Malay to achar ikan. Is it kind of like achar or not?
I suppose achar is ultimately like a vegetable pickle, so it's quite similar in many ways. The flavor palette for this is very simple. Again, a lot of Cape Malay food is very stripped back. It's kind of almost functional food. So, like with most things that you actually want to pickle, certain fish come in abundance, and in order to keep it for a long period of time, traditionally it was pickled. So it has a few things. It's more of a pickling brine in a traditional sense. There's some turmeric and some curry powder in it, but other than that, it's a very simple pickle. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very different. I always find it difficult whenever I say Cape Malay, because especially to Malaysians, they immediately imagine Malay food and that it's a tweaked version of that, which is true, but a lot of time and culture has gone between the two. So the two are actually quite separate these days. But yeah, let's call it a fish achar, if you will.
Fish achar. Yeah. Cool. All right. Now I've got Paul Gray say, I want to hear Liam speak Malay. There you go, Liam. Take it away. For those of you who don't know, Liam actually is Malay.
Yes, I believe that's Bahasa Melayu. That was my Malay. You were like, what strange English words is he saying? No, I do speak Malay, but unfortunately, I've got enough space in my brain for 1.5 languages, and when I'm in South Africa, Afrikaans takes over the half, and when I'm in Malaysia, the Afrikaans gets kicked out and the Malay takes over. So I have to be in a situation for it to start flowing. It doesn't take long. A couple of hours in Malaysia and I'm back to normal. So
there you go. Yes. There you go. Cool. All right, Liam, I'm going to disappear off screen, but you'll be able to hear me just so that you've got the full, the full screen here. And let me just click that and take it away. Solo layout.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Right. As we said, we're going to be making a classic Easter South African dish here. So I'm a bit low. Pickled fish. The fish that we're going to use today is actually yellowtail, which is very common this time of year. It can also be made with hake, which is very considered our kind of stocked fish here. The difference between the two fishes, though, the yellowtail is a very dense fish, very similar to tuna. However, the hake is obviously a lot like cod, very flaky. So the two things, you get the two different versions. Personally, I prefer the yellowtail. I find it's just a little bit more robust and holds up against pickling a bit better. But yes, so what we're going to do, first things first, is we're going to get our pickling liquid going, our pickling stock. Forgive me, this is the first time I've used my new gas cooker live, so it may go all a bit wrong. Okay, right. So to the pot, we're first going to add our liquids. So I've got 400 mils of brown spirit vinegar, similar to malt vinegar, but without that sort of malty taste. Ideally, you do want a brown vinegar, though. It doesn't have to be a fancy vinegar. In fact, the more basic, the better. So I'm just going to pour that in. Okay. And then to that, we've got some sliced onions. About 1.5, 2 onions, depending on the size that size of onion you've got. And you want a sort of medium slice to it. So we're just going to add that in as well. So all we're going to do is basically cook this for a few minutes until the onions soften. But to that, okay, sugar. Sugar, always contentious. It's very much your preference. I like to work on about just over a tablespoon per 100 mils. So I'm using about 4.5, 5 tablespoons for this amount of pickling liquid. Okay, so we're just going to.
I like lots of sugar, I have to admit.
I know, I do too. You want it to be a little bit nice and sweet. Okay. Then our spices. So again, not spices you would associate with Malaysian food per se, but in all stuff that's very much in abundance in South Africa. Again, that's what Cape Malay food is very much about. It's about adapting Malaysian tastes and dishes to what we have available. So we've got some fresh bay leaves. I've got 6 of those. I've got about a tablespoon of black peppercorns. Those are going in. I've got 6 little bits of allspice. Now, if you can't find allspice, that's not the end of the world. You can always leave it out. If you want to add a little bit more of the spice to it, you can also add some cloves as well. So, but I mean, really, you can use almost any kind of spice, pickling spices, which again, the traditional ones would be bay leaf and black peppercorns. Also got a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to throw in there. And then lastly, our ground spices. So I've got 2 teaspoons of turmeric, ground turmeric, and about 2 tablespoons worth of mild curry powder. So in South Africa, our curry powders tend to be quite mild and also very turmeric, a lot of turmeric in them, sorry. So you're going to end up with a very yellow dish. So don't go for anything too red and too strong. You really want the mildest curry powder that you can find for this. So we're just going to add that into the mix as well. Okay.
Hey, Liam, we've got a Malaysian watching from Namibia. That's got to be a first. So I had to give a special shout out. Liam's just got an attack of the spices.
Don't creep into vinegar. It's it's potent. Okay, I'm just going to stir it up. Oh, Namibia! I would love to be. That would be my dream destination. Of all our neighboring countries, Namibia would be by far my favorite.
Why is that?
Amazing. Oh, okay. The deserts and the landscapes and stuff. Oh, amazing. Lucky person. Right. Jealous.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder what they're doing there.
Often coming from
yeah. And again, guys, make sure you say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Names Constable asks, what are you making? So Liam, I'll let you kind of like fill everyone in who's just joined us.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so if you just joined us, we're making Cape Malay fish curry and pickled fish, which is a very traditional dish that we have around Easter. What makes it very Eastery is the surprise at the end. I'm not going to show you until the last minute. Some of you may be a bit repulsed by how we eat the pickled fish traditionally in this country, well, in this area of South Africa. But yeah, stay tuned right to the end for a little bit of a surprise in terms of what we serve this with. So what we're doing now is that this is the pickling liquid is just coming to the boil. So I'm just going to let it cook for about 2 or 3 minutes. We want the onions just to soften enough. Doesn't have to go completely soft, but just enough so there's a slight bite, almost al dente. So whilst that's getting on, I'm just going to cut up our fish. Let me just grab that for you. Okay. So this is yellowtail here. It's a very, like I said, it's very dense fish, very similar to tuna.
Oh.
So we're going to cut this up into cubes. So let me just show you. So I'm going to slice it to about that sort of length, I mean that sort of width, and I'm going to cut these into 3. So we're looking for basically chunks of about that sort of size. So I'm just going to cut these up.
So no skin, it's all fillet and all that?
No, it's skinned and filleted.
Okay.
Yeah, the skin can be a little bit hard on the yellowtail, so I think it's actually better not to have it. And again, it's a very firm fish, so it's not going to break up. If you're using hake, on the other hand, that, like I said, is a much flakier fish, and that you'll have to keep the skin on. Otherwise, it will just disintegrate as it pickles.
Okay.
But it's fascinating.
So,
yellowtail is this time of year, people go crazy for yellowtail, and shops often have it on special specifically for this dish. And you will find people will queue around the block if it's a good deal, if it's particularly fresh. Yeah, people go wild for yellowtail. Otherwise, it's not actually something that is often available in restaurants. So commonly. But yeah, for this particular dish, it's king. Okay, so we've cut that up.
So is it expensive, this fish, or is fish expensive?
Actually, surprisingly not. Again, I think it's very much because this time of year, it's caught very much on bulk, en masse. So there is a large amount available. So ordinarily, if you were trying to get it out of season, it would be probably a bit more expensive, but it's actually quite reasonable. Cool. I had about this amount plus the same amount more was about 70 Rand, which is, let's just do that, about £3 for that amount of fish.
£3.
So I can't work it out in Australian dollars. I'm afraid. In ringgit, we're looking at like 30, let's say 20 ringgit for. Okay,
20 ringgit. Okay, sure. Not bad. Names Constable's asking, is this channel mainly cooking? It's only cooking, Names Constable. A little bit of Malaysian travel as well. I would love some help with food. Yeah. Look, Names
you're at
Constable.
The right place.
This channel is made up of some of the most elite Malaysian chefs in the world. Liam belongs to the group. Liam's a food blogger, but among other things that he does. But my core group of Masters of Malaysian Cuisine are made up of some of the top Malaysian chefs in the world, including MasterChef Malaysia judge Jahari Idrus, and basically just the who's who of Malaysian cuisine around the world. Right? We got someone from Cyberjaya. Hi from Cyberjaya. Hey, how are you? Great to have you.
Hi.
And apparently Paul is taking you on your Malay, by the way. I swear my Malay is better than his, and Afrikaan is no competition.
I would hope not. I'm not the best person when it comes to language, I'm afraid. I speak English well, but that's it pretty much.
Kaylin says hello from California. Hey, good to have you. All right, show us what you got.
Okay, so basically, don't breathe it in. It's pretty potent. So that's what it's reduced down to. You don't want to reduce it down too much, because obviously when you want to put cover the meat in it or the fish in it, there needs to be sufficient liquid to do so. So don't let it cook down too much. So really, you just want the onions to soften just a little bit and then switch it off. So we're just going to put this to one side for a moment.
Can you repeat the ingredients? Can you repeat the ingredients that went in there again?
Yes, of course. So we've got some brown spirit vinegar, or just regular brown vinegar. We had some salt, some black peppers, black peppercorns. We had some bay leaves, and we also had some allspice berries, which you can also use cloves if you would like that instead. And then we also, spice-wise, we also added some turmeric and some mild curry powder to the mix. And that's it. Very simple, straightforward. And sugar. Oh, yes, I must have got the sugar. Yes, the biggest component of all. A lot of sugar. We use 4 to 5 tablespoons of sugar. So,
no belacan though.
No.
So I'm not sure about that.
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fry off our fish. So I've just salted the fish slightly with a little bit of sea salt. I'm just going to put this back on.
Okay.
And we're just going to use a little bit of neutral oil. So all we're going to do is we're just going to fry off the fish for about 2 or 3 minutes on each side, just to almost cook it all the way through and also give it a little bit of the crust. So we're going to actually dredge it in a little bit of flour before adding it to the pan.
Okay.
Which also helps thicken the liquid a little bit as it sits in the fridge.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So is it just plain flour you're using?
Just plain flour.
Okay. Cool.
And you don't have to season the flour because we've already seasoned the fish a little bit as well.
Okay. I think Renee Jufrey would beg to differ, Liam. You should.
I know. Well, there's a lot of flavor going on in here. And the thing too is that when the fish pickles, it obviously, because it's in a brine, it takes on a lot of the flavor as well. So it doesn't really need much more than what it's actually got. Because remember, there is a teaspoon and a bit of salt in the brining liquid as well.
Cool. Okay. And someone's saying hi from Petaling Jaya. Yeah, how you doing?
Hi there.
And someone, Nazreen, says hello from Rondebosch East in Cape Town. Am I pronouncing it right? Nazreen Saley from Halal, Cape Town. Hello from Rondebosch. Rondebosch? I'm guessing.
Rondebosch. Well done, Jackie. That's pretty well pronounced.
I did major in German, at uni. So.
Okay, that does help.
The least I could do is actually pronounce words correctly.
Okay, so we're just going to dust these last few off. Oh, this is always my worst job. I hate getting my fingers covered in flour. It just does my head in. Okay, we'll turn this down slightly. A bit hot.
Oh. So you don't have much oil there, just enough to saute, right?
Enough to saute it, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we're just going to
Paul's just posted Renee's quote from season 1, episode 2 of MOMC TV. Renee, season your batter, season your prawns, season your salad, season your seasoning.
Okay, who am I to argue with Renee? I'm afraid the man's Michelin trained.
Yes, exactly. Now, someone's asking, would it be all right to use corn flour instead?
Yes, by all means. If you want a gluten-free option, then yes, do use corn flour. It's not a problem.
Cool. Okay.
Great.
Great.
Got to get my head around this cooker. Let me just get my bowl. Okay. So as these cook, I'm actually just going to pop them into a little sieve over a bowl, just to drain off any extra oil.
Okay.
Then we're just literally just going to turn them over slightly. You'll see that the flour will brown it a little bit.
Okay. So when you say you want to cook it till it's just nearly done, but not quite, is that how
it doesn't have to be fully done? I would probably say 80% cooked through. Again, because it's a very oily fish, you don't really want to cook it all the way through. If it was hake, yes, you would. But the oily fish, otherwise it will dry out quite a lot.
Okay.
Again, the pickling will actually take care of a lot of the actual finish it off.
Okay.
Because the other thing about this dish too is that unfortunately it's very much a made in preparation kind of dish. So you've got to actually give it at least an overnight or a couple of hours in the fridge before eating it.
Okay. You eat it cold, obviously, is that right?
Yes, you eat it cold. You can warm it up, it's not a problem. Because you can have it with rice and things as well. So you can add it to like a general table of food and things. And again, it was a very good way of having protein readily available throughout the year at a drop of a hat. I mean, you could pickle it and keep it for a long time. And
So you don't have to refrigerate it. You can keep it out of the fridge if you stick it in.
I would say these days I would refrigerate it. I don't know. If you've got a refrigerator, refrigerate it. If you don't, then you do take your chances slightly. But yeah, if it was me, I would refrigerate it.
Okay.
It's a bit like when you make kimchi and then you've got to refrigerate it afterwards. So you sort of think, well, I fermented it. You would think that I wouldn't have to, but in order to keep it as long as possible, it would be best to.
Sure.
Okay, just turn this up a bit.
So this fish, I saw like it's a white fish, right? Sort of thing. Could you use something like sardines or something like that? Or would that be too strong flavored?
I think that would be too soft and also too bony. That's the other thing too. So yellowtail has very few bones in the meat itself, and the same with hake as well. So it does make it much easier to eat. You're not having to pick bones out all the time, and both are very readily available. I think that's the key thing here, really, is that you want a fish that you can use a lot of. I mean, I think in my recipe, it's anywhere between 1 kilo and 1.5 kilos that you can use.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fish. And this time of year too, they tend to sell a whole fish, and a yellowtail is about that sort of size. So you've got to use up the whole. Great on the barbecue as well, by the way.
All right. So you actually buy the whole fish and then you fillet it yourself?
Yes, or they will fillet it for you at the supermarket.
Okay.
So we just rounded it off. So I'm just going to take these out. I'll show you in a second.
Sure. Facebook user saying should be good with French loaf. Yes,
that would be nice.
Okay.
That would be very.
I'm guessing that's not how you use it, how you eat it.
No, I'm not going to say what it is. No one's going to see this coming.
Okay. So your fellow South Africans asking, Chef Liam, will your next segment be about traditional Cape hot cross buns?
Oh, yeah, well, someone knows.
Okay.
Well, anyone who knows me knows I'm not a baker. Firstly, my hot cross buns would be more like a Y or something. I would be bad.
But yeah, welcome to everyone again. Sid's just popped in to say a bit late to tune in. No, lovely to have you, Sid, and everyone else. Make sure you say hello, let us know where you're watching from, and continue to ask us questions. All right, even like if they're not related to the actual recipe itself, feel free to ask Liam, because I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you about his life in South Africa, his prior life in Penang and in the UK. I wanted to ask you, so growing up in Penang, did you speak mostly English or mostly Malay?
Mostly English, partly because my mother is from Belfast in Ireland, and bless her, she lived in Malaysia for many, many years and tried to learn Malay, but she has very strong Irish accents. So she didn't feel very confident speaking Malay. So we spoke primarily in English. Sorry, can you start with it? And yeah, and also my family too, generally speaking, we all speak English to each other. Even my Malay family. We very much grew up with English as our home language.
Okay, cool. Jax is asking, do we get yellowtail in Sydney? Yes, we do, but it's not something that I actually have ever bought. The other tricky thing is there tend to be different iterations of like certain like varieties of fish, right? So I don't really know what the equivalent is.
Yeah, we found that too here. A lot of our fish, when you look at Australian recipes and you ask a certain fish, well, I can't get that, but actually you can. It's just got a very different name or...
Yeah, exactly. And someone's asking, how about frozen yellowtail? Should it be thawed first and then put back in the fridge overnight?
Yes, absolutely. You can use frozen yellowtail. It's absolutely not a problem. Like you said, just throw it out overnight in the fridge and you're good to go. It won't be a problem.
It's a Facebook user watching from Kuala Lumpur. Heavy Rangers, stop getting hungry now. Good timing.
Hey, excellent.
Nasrin says you sound South African. How about that? He sounds very British.
Well, it has happened. When I first moved here, I had a very plummy English accent. It's gone a bit awry, I'm afraid. So the South African accent is very addictive. and it's very easy to slip into the sayings and things slip in very quickly. And sometimes I get a bit confused as to what's English and what's actually Afrikaans, which is a bit confusing at times.
Yeah. Catherine is watching from Melbourne. Hi to Jackie and Liam. Hey, good to have you, Catherine.
Hi, great to have you.
Kayleen says her family enjoys grilled yellowtail. Cool.
Oh yeah, no grilled. Oh no, yellowtail is aside from this dish, yellowtail is great, and it can take a lot of flavor as well. So that's what makes it a really nice barbecue fish, because it holds up very well to the heat, takes flavors on really nicely, and yeah. Oh no, grilled, delicious, absolutely delicious. I'm always very wary of overcooking it. That's my one thing. Is I'm not a fan. Okay, so we've got our chicken.
Chicken. In a fish.
Chicken. Sorry, not chicken. Fish. We're pickling fish, not chicken. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. It looks a bit chickeny at the moment. So we're just gonna.
Debbie, our MOMC Uber chef, Nyonya specialist, says this recipe sounds like Penang Nyonya dish called acaphu, or pickled fish, a wedding dish using just turmeric slices to cover the oil, and we use ikan belana or mullet. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, sounds very similar. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Right, so now this is it. Okay. So now we're going to put it together. So add so you're going to add, depending on how much fish you've got, you're going to add a layer of fish at the bottom of your bowl. You want to keep it in, again, a glass bowl or ceramic bowl. Don't use a metallic bowl, because that will have a reaction with vinegar, which is not great. So yeah, really anything glass or ceramic. Now my own little tweak to this, which is not normal, is I like to add some red currants, some golden sultanas to it as well. So it just adds that, because I like it because of the pickling juice, and they get really sort of plump and nice, and you get this nice little bite, which explodes in your mouth. So again, not a traditional thing, but I don't mind it because, again, raisins are very commonly used in Cape Malay food. Again, because the Cape is very much wine country. So again, raisins from grapes, we get a lot of them, and so we've got a big abundance of them. So got to use them, I say.
Okay, cool. Someone on MATJHN saying cakap apa ni? Cakap Penang bang. You've got any Penang slang you can throw at us?
Oh, isn't it a kiddie show? Isn't it terrible, the things you always remember, the things your mother tells you not to say? Okay, so our pickling liquid. So we're going to throw it all in. So we're just going to layer some onions over it. Okay. Okay, and then add some of the liquid. Now, you don't want to take out any of the spices, including the bay leaves. You want to keep that all in there.
Sure. Okay. So is the curry powder that you're using, is it like a local curry powder, or is it similar to the Malaysian curry powders that we...
No, it's more like a... I'm assuming it is basically derived from India more than anywhere else, again, because we have a very large Indian population. So I would think that the curry powders were very much brought by them. It's like I said, curry powders are very mild, generally speaking. If we want to increase the heat, we usually add ground chilies to things, not necessarily through the curry powder itself. But also in South Africa, you get another thing called masala, which the two things are almost interchangeable. They're very similar. Masala's got a little bit more, I think, sweetness to it. But yeah, curry powder here is pretty generic. Like we don't really have curry powders like in Malaysia where it's for fish, where it's for chicken. You know, here it's very much mild or hot. That's pretty much what you can get. So that's why I was saying, if you really get the most basic kind of curry powder that you can find, and it needs to have a high turmeric content, not a very red chili content to it. Otherwise, your pickled fish is going to turn out pretty red, which is not really the desired effect.
I actually thought your pickling juice is pretty red, but is that mostly from the turmeric or
it's mostly from the turmeric. I'm going to pour this last bit in now, and you'll see.
Because it looks very concentrated to me.
It does. So what you need to do too, so you need to, when you select a pot to actually put it into, I would suggest finding something that is quite tight fitting for the meat that you've got. So basically that's what it looks like. It's looking a little redder on camera than it actually really is. Okay. And then I use an upside down lid, which then helps just push it down a bit. But before that, you just want to do a little bit of press. Again, the fish is quite robust, so just give everything a little bit of a press down. Okay. But if you find that it is actually too little liquid, you can add a little bit of water to it too, just to bring up the quantity of it. Okay. That's that. So all you do is you then take this, you put it in the fridge for at least 5 hours, preferably overnight. And in the morning, this is what you end up with. One minute early. Okay, so this is what you end up with here. As you can see, so the fish takes on a lot of the color as well. It actually becomes much denser as part of the process. So it's got a lovely sweet sour flavor to it. So what do we do? How do we eat this in South Africa? Hot cross buns.
Oh my goodness.
That's what we do. It's very much a Cape thing. I didn't believe it when I heard it the first time. I was like, no way. No one does this. We do. And it's delicious. It's so good. You just have a little hot cross bun, break a bit off, dip it in the sauce, a little bit of fish. Oh, that is a Cape Easter for you on a plate. It's the true taste of the Cape.
I wonder if Bill Gray has had it before. But
I don't know. You see, he lives up north. This is very much a Cape. This is very much a Cape Town thing. Like I said, I'm very. Has he?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm really curious now. So, so is this something that you would go out to eat, like at a restaurant?
No. This is very much home cooking. Yeah, this is very much home cooking stuff. Again, also because at Easter, a lot of people get together, families get together and things, and so they make a big pot of this, and it's shared out throughout the Easter week. But no, it's not really something that you're going to find in a restaurant, because it's Cape Malay food, unless you go to a specific Cape Malay restaurant, of which there are not that many of them. It's not something you really find in South African restaurants. You may find a few dishes here and there, which are sort of token dishes thrown in, but generally the real stuff, it's very much home cooking, which I like. I like the fact that it's not commercial. It's very much what people cook at home. And
so even though this is Cape Malay, all South Africans in the Cape area do cook it. Like
no, not necessarily. No, it's very much a Cape Malay thing. So Cape Malays are, well, so you have Cape Malays, you have Cape Coloreds. They're different groups, but yeah, this is very popular in that section of society. But I mean, it is readily available. Suddenly around Easter time, there's lots of tubs of it in the fridge section of most supermarkets. It's a bit like Easter eggs. You know Easter's coming because suddenly there's pickled fish everywhere.
How interesting. Facebook user saying we're going to Cape Town from Namibia for Easter, so make sure you have some of that and tell us what it's like. Tag us on social media, take photos. I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely. She doesn't believe me. She doesn't believe me about the hot cross bun. I know.
Eating it at the beach is a dimension. Is that right? Is that a thing? Is it eating pickled fish at the beach?
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Again, it's portable. It's ready made. You just take it, have a few hot cross buns, some nice crusty bread with you, and yeah, no, absolutely.
Cool.
A nice cool drink next to it, and yeah.
Now, with the stories asking what's tannies, as in grannies, because before that, Paul Gray was saying, I want to see Liam travel around Cape Town and visit Malay tannies and cook with them.
Oh, tannies. Yeah, tannies are like aunties. Same thing in Malaysia when you have an auntie, same thing.
Oh, okay, tanny. Okay, do you call everyone tanny or like all like?
No, I don't even call my aunt and uncles aunt and uncle. So
Okay.
I'm a really bad Malaysian. So no, definitely not.
Now, I want to ask about this fish with the hot cross bun. Do you eat it like as a snack, or do you have it like on
I
Easter
think it's very
morning?
much. It's very much like if you have a big family gathering and you're going to eat it. It's just something that's there which you can have.
Okay.
To prove it, I feel like I have to prove it somewhat. Hang on, so I'm just going to tell a little bit.
So you don't butter the bun or anything. You don't heat up the bun or anything like that. You just have it
No, you
cold.
can do. It's preference. I don't think it's really necessary. So I'm just going to.
Okay.
There's something about the spiciness of the bun, of the hot cross bun, mixed in with the actually very simple pickling liquid. The two things just work really well. But a little bit of butter on this as well. Oh, be so good.
Okay. I'm curious now. I'm not actually, in all honesty, a big fan of hot cross buns. I always find them too dense, sort of thing, and a little bit boring. But maybe this will work.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to convert to Jackie somehow.
What? Nasreen is saying, Chef Liam, next up, Cape Malay Penang curry. Is there such a thing?
Yes, it kills me because it's actually here considered to be Thai.
Oh my God.
They somehow they've lumped together Penang with Thailand, which just as a Penangite is like a dagger to the heart.
Ada orang kata makan dengan nasi kandar sedap, betul kan? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Look, again, it's a great dish too. If you've got other richer dishes to go with it, works really well. I mean, again, and it lasts a long time in the fridge. You can make it, you can keep it, and because often we make big Malaysian meals, and there's always like, oh God, if I've made like 6 things, let me have a 7th. At least you've got this lying around. It's quick, it's easy, and
The Sheila says, just watching. Sorry, I watched the replay. Hello from Frankfurt. Hello Sheila. This is a good one, Sheila. I'd like to see our European followers attempt this actually, because I think the ingredients are pretty easy to get hold of.
It's very accessible. There's very little in this that anyone really should have any trouble getting hold of. There's nothing particularly strange or exotic in terms of the dishes in terms of the ingredients. But I would just play around with the fishes that you can get, and again, stick with something a little bit dense for me. That would be ideal.
You mentioned earlier the brown vinegar. Can you use just regular white vinegar or no?
I think it may be a little stringent. I've thought about this before. I think the brown vinegar gives it a lot more depth to it as well. It's got a slightly smokier flavor, so I would say use the brown vinegar if you can get it. But again, regardless of what vinegar you use, make sure you taste it before pickling your fish, just to make sure you've got the sweet sour levels to your preference. So if you're going to use a different vinegar, you're still going to end up with very similar results, but just make sure that you may want more or less sugar, just to sort of cut through it a bit.
And speaking of the sugar, because you were using white sugar, right? And I'm not going all like healthy, whatever. So I think, could you use like maybe palm sugar or brown sugar or that sort of stuff? Or?
Yes, I don't see why not. It's a sweetening agent. It's not a problem. Again, we will in South Africa. We will these sorts of dishes very much will use what's readily available. So white sugar is hugely available here. We buy it in 5 kg bags. So I always find it so weird when I go to the UK. It's like this little bag of sugar. And I'm like, wow, that's like one person's intake for the day. We're a country that runs on sugar.
Oh my God. Someone, Facebook users say eat with papadum. That's probably a good idea too, actually.
Ooh, also nice.
Papadum, like prawn crackers and all that sort of stuff. Look, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Guys, don't forget, if you want this recipe, you need to sign up at malaysianchefs.com/join today. And is there any other last words you want to say about this, Liam?
Yeah, my thing is that, you know what, I know we often focus on Malay food here, but try it. Try different things. Often it's more similar than you actually realize it's going to be. And Yeah, and it's not, and Cape Malay food, try it, discover it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, very tasty, and yeah.
It does have
good.
that Malay vibe about it, I think, sort of thing, you know. So it's
It
definitely,
does.
I think it's got that Malaysian, flavor profile sort of thing. So no, we're all good. I'm keen to try it. Yeah, just a matter of finding the right fish for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, my last question is, like you mentioned pickling, right? Sort of thing. Would you like kind of make it like and eat it like across like weeks and months, or is it something that you really just kind of eat the next day and that's it?
No, I think if it was me, I would say probably within a week is probably your safest bet. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I. Yeah.
Got it.
And again, in mind, it won't last that long. You'll eat it. I'm sure.
Facebook user says going to try this weekend. Yay! Make sure you tag us, guys. If you attempt any of our recipes, tag us, Malaysian Chefs at facebook.com/Malaysian Chefs or Instagram.com/Malaysian Chefs, and we might reshare it. Right? Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Liam. Another fabulous session. Your beautiful kitchen. We need to make more use of it because we're trying to get our act together, but we want to bring everyone back on more regularly, sort of thing. So we hope to see more of you in our future broadcasts. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Love it. Absolutely love it. Great to be here again.
Yeah, good to have you back. All right, guys, we're going to bump out again with Tourism Malaysia, and we'll see you next time would be on Monday for MOMC TV. Okay, ciao.